Hey everyone, welcome back. Smash Property Podcast. Today's episode, we've got myself, Nick V, founder and director of the Smash Property Investing Buyers Agency, along with my co-founder, Akira. That's what you are, right?
I think so.
Co-pilot? Co-pilot. I like that. This episode, we're going to talk about who we are, how we got here, and why... oh, why should anyone out there be remotely interested in what we are doing and what we have to say?
And why should they listen to us?
Why should they listen?
Yeah.
So it's not a flex. It's not a show off. It's not a this or that, just in case you're wondering. Don't give a damn about any of that. In fact, if I had it my way, I would be off the radar.
Yeah,
no one
in the
would
background.
even see me. But this is part of doing business these days. And part of that is us being transparent, as we always are with you guys. So we wanted to share. We have done I think one of these previously. But I feel like a lot's happened.
A lot's
I feel like there's been a
changed.
ton of learnings in the last week that I want to be I want to share with people. And the genesis of this episode is that we have the privilege of speaking with so many different investors from so many different walks of life, you know, from the person, you know, early in their investing journey, early in their investing career, all the way up to someone who's kind of, you know, people that are kind of about to retire, heading into that journey, and everybody in between. And when I was thinking about this episode, there is no difference with any one of those people in any one of those categories except one thing.
Absolutely.
And that is decision making. The people that make decisions are the people that move forward, period. That's
Definitely.
it. That is how you get to where you want to go, is just making decisions. And you got to remember, indecision is still a decision. So that was the genesis of where this episode has come from. We speak to so many amazing people, and the people that just get stuck are the ones that they can't decide on moving forward. They hold themselves back. And so when you and I were sort of talking about this, we were kind of like, it annoys us, if I'm real, because it's like, you know, there's so many people that are like on the edge about buying their first property, right? And I get it. It's a big mountain to climb. But having climbed that mountain many, many times now, building our own portfolio, it's kind of like when you're on that side, it's like a little jump. You know, it's like a kid freaking out about. I think he's on a seesaw or something.
Oh, bicycle.
And he's
just
freaking out about things going, and then all of a sudden he stabilizes and he's like, "Hey, this ain't so bad."
It ain't so
it's
bad.
the same thing, right? And I can understand. I'm not disrespecting that decision making process by any means, but I am saying it's not the end of the world buying your first investment property, right? And so I wanted to and I was like, okay, cool, that's all well and fine. But I'm like, okay, let me share. I want to share with our audience like what some of the decision-making processes we've had to go through over, you know, our journey all the way up to this point in time, so that people can be like, oh, okay, yeah, there's never 100% certainty. There's always a risk. There's always a stress. It's never perfect, right? So I want to share that side of the journey with the audience today. And I think when we were talking about this, like starting with like, who the hell are we, right? Because there's only, you know, a few people out there that really know who we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't you sort of share a little bit about
Who are you?
Who are you, and what are you doing in my house?
Why am I here?
Why are you here?
I think, look, before I jump straight there, I think talking to the decision-making process and why that is so important, it is a common denominator for people who do see success between our clients specifically that I'm talking to, outside of just business owners and, you know, people who are financially successful. And it comes about because there is obviously a fear and a gap in the way. And I think talking to that fear in my own circumstance and scenario, when maybe a bit about me and why I felt this was such a big thing for me with property, is I always felt as a young kid growing up that Australia is such an amazing country and has so many opportunities, especially being someone from another country, like obviously a migrant. And from my perspective, I understood that if there is opportunity for you to grow and succeed, the goal is always to move in that direction and take those opportunities. So I always thought when I was growing up, whether it be property, getting a new job, getting a car, whatever it is, when you're growing and trying to make decisions, relationships, what is the worst that's going to happen? And with that particular line of questioning, I came to understand that it's better to make a decision than not make a decision, whether it be property or anything else in life. And that's kind of guided me throughout my whole process in property investing and growing a portfolio. Because that indecision and I guess, how do I say it? That lack of ability to move forward even when you don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Has been something I've been able to be more and more comfortable as I've grown.
Yeah, there's definitely a need to get comfortable not having answers to all of the questions that you have. And I think we were talking about this like off camera earlier today. It was like, I get it, because when I was, what was it now, 10, 12 years ago, looking to get into property, I was watching all these YouTube videos, and there weren't many at that time, 12 years ago. But I used to map everything out, like draw, I had my notebooks and stuff, and I'd write everything down. And there was just that like final 10, 20%. I was like, I just don't get it. Like, it's just not quite adding up. Like, I have so many kind of, how does this work questions in my mind. And no matter who I spoke to, what I read, what I watched, all the information I collected, those questions were never answered. And it's only now, knowing what I know now, those questions will never be answered until you go and do. Right? Until you've done it, then you're like, oh, okay, that's how that works. That's what that is. That's this. Absolutely. And it's like, and I see so many people try to get all of that 100% first. It's like, once I have my notebook complete 100%, then I'm moving forward and I'm making a decision. And that doesn't work. Like
in life, just in general, outside of property.
With property doesn't work. And we can sort of maybe get into that, but I just want to bring this back to like who you are, right? Like,
it's such a deep question. How do I answer?
No, it is. Like, and I hope you kind of answer it a little bit. Like you as my parents did. Parents migrated to this country, right?
Yeah.
You were also born overseas. You were very young when you moved here.
Yeah.
Parents extremely hardworking, business owners, and I think for anyone migrating to another country, right? There's a lot on the line.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think it is obviously a huge amount of risk that your family had to take to move here, as did mine. And from all accounts, like, you had a lot of great values instilled, upon you, whilst you maybe never had massive handouts, but you sort of pieced your information together, did the school thing, did the uni thing, got into the career. I
was working jobs from the age of 14.
Yeah.
For that specific reason of, which I found truly valuable. And we were chatting to family over the weekend about this, not having handouts. Like, yes, I had a comfortable life growing up as a kid and a teenager, but I wasn't like a trust fund baby or anything like that, in the sense of I appreciated working for things and seeing the value of my hard work pay off into not just the money side, but having the freedom to buy a car, having the freedom to choose to move to another area when I wanted to in my 20s. So I think for me, to your point, understanding that hard work pays off, and sometimes in some instances, as much as hard work is important, there are roadblocks in our system that we have. And I started to recognize that very early.
Yeah. And I want to cut you down to size a little bit here. Like, and just hear me out. Like, you're nothing special.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not a unique case. You've had a very normal life by kind of, Sydney, Australia standards,
Definitely.
Western standards, right? And that's like, the reason I'm saying that is like, all of the opportunities and all of the things that have come your way, like, you've had to go and earn it. Right. And I think, like a lot of people watching this, have to go and earn stuff,
Yep.
right? There's only a very small percentage of people that are trust fund, kids and, have massive inheritances and all that sort of thing, or win, money or whatever. But for the vast 99% of us, we've got to go out there and fucking grind for it.
And figure it out.
Come to anyone easy, right? And I just wanted to say that, just without getting on a high horse about, like, you're a normal person.
Exactly.
Right? You come from a normal background. And you had to go and work for everything you've got.
I think, though, the difference with how I see life, and I think when I do, because we were talking about this just a minute ago, when I do feel empathy towards people who are stuck in this position where they can't make a decision, is those questions with understanding where I'm at and where I want to be. Those things are questions that are very deep rooted, and some people shy away from those questions. But because of my experience in life, I don't. Because I know that things can be dramatically worse coming from a different country. I'm like, okay, well, even if I make a wrong decision here or sidestep away from the goal, it still makes sense to do it. At least I learn from it.
That's right. And I think that might be, I think, if anything that you have is a slight advantage over, a lot of other people, is that you've experienced and seen firsthand how shit life can be, right? Both you and I have in Africa, seeing how life can really be. And I might just throw it out there, like, where are you from? Because a lot of people wouldn't know. Where are you from? Tell the people.
What are you?
What are you?
I'm South African Indian. So from Joburg.
So you're South African.
So I'm South African Indian.
With an Indian heritage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I got Colombian the other day. I was like, oh, nah.
Yeah, I think you get everything but that. And it's actually good. So, like, we've both you and I, at a very early age, I was 4 years old and went to South Africa for the first time. I am also South African, by the way. Well, as in my family, I was born here.
You're Australian.
I'm Australian. But I got to see firsthand at 4 years old, this was on the tail end of the apartheid sort of regime in South Africa, but seeing the townships and seeing how those people were living at a young age, kind of like it was such an advantage, because at that early age, you're like a sponge and you kind of soak everything up, right? And like just being there firsthand, experiencing that kind of
energy.
Like, yeah. And it was like, okay, if my investment fucks up here, okay, I might have some debt, whatever. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? At least I can, have an opportunity to go again, type thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably like one of those 1% things that make a fairly significant difference in our perspective on things.
Yeah. I don't think it's a 1% thing. I think it's a 90% thing.
Yeah,
in
might
movement.
Be right. You might be right.
In how I see life, I think a lot of people in the world, like, there's literally an epidemic, I would say, in the fear of making a mistake.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a social thing, whether it's just the responsibility of carrying a family, potentially even, just not wanting to feel like a failure.
Yeah.
And I think, to your point, we're talking to your family this weekend, and your uncle said something very, very beautiful way, is like, I do everything in my power to make a mistake. And I'm like, that is so powerful. And the reason for that is he had said that it was so that he can learn from it and use it as an opportunity to grow. Yeah. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So basically the long and short of it is, you're a very normal person didn't have any handouts. One of the things I actually, before I sort of summarize you into a sentence, one of the things I appreciate that you do, and you sort of alluded to it a second ago, is you kind of, in your own way, plan and map out your future, whether it's like writing it down on a notepad, putting it, just putting some dot points together, kind of having those goals and those things put down. And we were saying, remember over the weekend, I was writing something down because I was so scattered with all sorts of stuff about business, whatever. I just wrote it down on a notebook and I was like, oh wow, like I actually feel so much better. And I was looking at all the things. I'm like, there's a few things on there, but it's not like it was in my head. And that's so powerful, right? But there's one of the things I appreciate about you is kind of that forward-looking, forward-thinking kind of attitude and behavior.
Can I tell you where I learned that? When I was in primary school, I think in year 4, I had a teacher and she said, write a note to yourself and in 20 years, open it. And it's like this little note that you put in your wallet and you keep it for forever. And it's always something that had stuck with me because it's like you're going to reflect on all these like notepad dreams, goals, ambitions that you have. Yeah. And it's cool when you read back on them to see whether you were on the mark or not. Yeah,
no, exactly. So very normal kind of person. I think from my perspective in my world.
Who are you?
Who am I? I've done other podcasts talking about, I guess, who I am in my journey. But if you haven't seen those sort of things, like, again, my parents migrated to this country. I was born here. So I am Australian born, unlike some people here. Get out. No, I'm just kidding. I had a very kind of normal middle class kind of life growing up. I got to travel, I got to go to nice, good schools. I moved across the country quite a bit, Western Sydney, country Victoria, came back to Sydney, all sorts of part of Sydney, and was like, what? You cut me down to size.
I feel like when I first met you, my perspective of understanding you have a very interesting adolescence, childhood as well, just in terms of the experiences you had and compressed into a short period of time. I feel like you lived 2 times within 25 years.
Yeah.
In terms of the wild things that you got up to.
There's definitely some stories of that. I think to your point, like had a pretty wild kind of, I'd say maybe from like 12 to 25. That was kind of like my wild years. Exploring everything that was around me and then some. But just back on track, my point is, again, pretty normal, right? No massive handouts. My parents did help me here and there with certain things, paying my phone bill when I fucking didn't pay it for 3 months, and my toll notices and just bits and pieces here and there. But everything we've got to this point in time has come from making decisions, having a look in the mirror at some points in time, of writing shit down and be like, okay, do you want to get to where you're going? Yes or no? If yes, you need to make these things happen. All right. So I think the point being, summarizing it, we were and are very normal people. Right. Yeah. There's nothing really unique or special about us. I dropped out of high school. Like I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Let's just get that out of the way. All right. I think between you and I, we maybe have a decent IQ between the two of us.
I think collectively, I think the difference, I feel as though, yes, we might not be book smart to the highest degree, but our EQ is there in understanding what is important in life and what's not. I'd like to think.
Yeah, I think so. And wanted to sort of segue into like, where are we now? Where are we now? And
Isn't there a TV show about this? Where are they now?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But let me just summarize this, right? Okay. We were able to leave jobs that we weren't really in love with and passionate about, right? We were able to move to a location that
paradise.
We're basically able to move. You're literally able to move to paradise. I've got 6 cars in the driveway, 5 cars, 6 on the way, plus a caravan. We're able to buy our dream home. And if we really wanted to, we could have that dream home fully paid off. And we're not even close to 40 yet. We're able to build a business that we're absolutely in love with. Yeah. And meet some incredible people from all different parts of the country and different walks of life.
That's kind of special when you say it.
That's why I'm saying this. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to like flex all that shit. I'm saying it because it is extremely special to be able to do all that sort of shit. Like, I think just by the pure fact of like being able to buy your dream home and have it paid off if we wanted to. The fact that we we want to continue pushing further is the reason why we're not going to pay it off right now. But if we truly wanted to, we could sell a few things down and the home will be completely paid off, right?
Yeah,
that for a lot of people is like a lifelong dream, right? Being able to have, I'm a car guy, right? I don't buy cars to look cool, or I don't give a shit about that. I love cars because of how they drive and how they make me feel, right? Being able to do that and I was a kid with these little Matchbox cars. Now I've got real cars in the driveway. Like, that's cool, man. For me, anyway. Some people would be like, "You're a dickhead, Nick," but whatever. Like, I love that shit. The business, again, if it wasn't for property, would not have been able to start the business. Would not have had the ability to leave the job that was like, you saw the stress that I probably have more stress now, but it's stress that I care about. Whereas the stress in the 9 to 5 was like, I don't give a shit about this job. Why am I stressing over all this bullshit that doesn't matter?
Yeah.
I think we could leave that behind.
The fundamental difference of stress and the difference of what you experience there and here is you have purpose now. Correct, yeah, exactly. Like the difference between doing a 9 to 5 job and sometimes you have great people around you. And it's amazing if you do have a 9 to 5 job where you actually love it and feel purpose and meaning. But if you don't have that, sometimes that can be it can be draining in your soul.
It's soul destroying, and I don't say that lightly. It really is. Like, it's crushed. The 9 to 5 has crushed more dreams than fucking anything else on earth. I've got my dog here in front of me. He's just like, he's so soft.
I feel like I can just put a camera.
No, don't move him. We'll show a picture or something. He's awesome. Rome is amazing. You'll see him on our social media from time to time. But I wanted to say all of that because what is important next is the value of this whole episode. It's like, how the hell did two ordinary people with ordinary lives be able to do these things at such an early age? Because let's be real, like, we're still young, right?
Even though my neck is so sore all the time, my back is.
Oh yeah, we're young with certain health problems now. No, we're healthy. No, we're healthy. How the hell do we do it? And I think if I'm looking at it, I'm like, I decided 12 years ago that I wanted to pursue the dream of not having to work a job that I didn't love.
12 years ago.
That was 12 years ago. I was like, I made the decision. Before that, I was flirting with the idea, like romanticizing about, how cool would it be to not have to work at this thing. But it was 12 years ago where I was like, no, I'm going to do something about this. And I'm like, I have no fucking idea how long it's going to take, what I need to do, how much money I got to earn. I was like, no, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to, like, it was, the decision was made. And that was then the genesis of the first property, right? Went down the completely wrong fucking path, bought the brand new, house and land package, was owner occupied property. It didn't grow in value. I was $200,000 negative equity for a while, actually, but I just learnt from that. I was like, okay, let's not do that again. Do you know what I mean? And the point being, it was decision made, execute on the thing, right? Lessons learned, don't make those same mistakes again. Next decision, next property, let's go do something different that is going to be, more beneficial from all the lessons that we've learned. Going back to the before I bought the first property, there was so many unanswered questions that I had, and I could have probably still have been deciding today and trying to find the answers to all those fucking questions that I had. The reality is, until I had done it, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, right? It's interesting, and in hindsight, you could have played your cards differently and gotten a better result, to be 100%. Quite frank, in terms of like your investing decisions after like what we discussed in maybe buying 2 houses in Brisbane at that time for $400,000. But I think the outcome of that is you wouldn't have learned the necessary lessons, like I was saying before, to not only navigate property investing, but other things in your life as well. Because every mistake that you make, it affects how you move. And I think when you learn from it, that is the key, so that you can actually build.
And you know, I'm just thinking like it would have been very easy to be turned off property.
You'd be like, this shit doesn't
fucking work. Like, you know, I buy it and it's going to lose value and all this sort of thing. Would have been very easy to just be like, nah, it doesn't work. But I was of the mindset of, no, it does. You just need to find the right sort of equation to make it work. You know, and even when I bought my next property, which was in Brisbane, used the buyer's agent to do that. I'm grateful I did, because I had no fucking idea about Brisbane at the time. I was looking in Logan, and although Logan in hindsight has done amazingly well, I bought on the Moreton Bay side of Brizzy. And even with that property, like, there was so many issues. I had a tenant bail on the lease. Like, my first investment property, not long into the journey, they just abandoned it. Like, didn't tell anyone, just left. They moved out. No one knew where the hell they went. Right? That would have been so easy to be like, oh, fuck property. Like, you know, this ain't for me. It's just a pain in the ass. Like, now I've got no tenant. I'm missing out on rent and all this sort of thing. But no, it was like, all right, cool. Like,
dust
obviously
back off
not ideal. You know, chalk it up as an anomaly, and we move on to the next one, right? There's been so many stories pretty much with every single property where there's been some kind of issue that would have been easy to say no to property after that.
You have dealt with a lot of adversity, I guess, in your portfolio as a whole, whether it be like through the finance part of the equation, whether it be the tenancy part of it. There's so many things that can go wrong, and so many things for us collectively have gone wrong. But I think it's like, for me, when I look at it, when you don't think about like now, you think about 10 years from now, which I often do. I often, and I don't mean to be like off with the fairies with this, but I often visualize what is 10 years from now going to look like for me. It helps me navigate the short-term decisions, because again, every hardship is like a stepping stone to get to where you actually need to be. And often it can also be smooth sailing, and there are plenty of circumstances where things have just fallen into place, which typically they do overall, even when there is a shit situation. But I think the long and short of it is, as long as you're willing to get back up and keep moving and not dwell in a bad moment. You
can't fester in your own thing, because again, the second investment property, which I've mentioned on a few podcasts now, the Deception Bay one, I got screwed over by the sales agent by waiving my building and pest. You know, storm came through, massive thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage. That would have then been easy to be like, nah, this property game is really, you know, not for me.
Costing me too much money.
way too much. But every time there was some bullshit like that happened, I always went and go, okay, well, what is the property now worth? Oh, okay, it's grown in value a lot more than what I paid for it. Okay, cool. Looking at my numbers and going, okay, what is the income of the rent income? What is the expenses? Going, okay, that's actually gotten slowly better and better over the months and years that I've held it. Like, if this keeps going this way, hang on a second, this property is going to continue to grow in value. And it's going to get to a point where it's actually paying me income. I'm like, all right, so, okay, this $10,000 I've got to pay to fix this roof issue, whatever the flashing issue was at the time. I'm like, okay, that is painful. But if I just take that short-term pain and chalk that up to, okay, that's just the short-term now, but the long-term wow is like, this is going to be amazing for me, right? So kind of always anchoring the decision in like the bigger picture rather than the short-term crap that will always come up, whether it's a tenant, a dishwasher that breaks. I had an aircon at 1 mile. I've got to do an aircon there. Yeah, it's just like,
I have a fence I've got to get onto. We had a bathroom.
The 40K friggin' bathroom in WA. Like,
my neck just like cracks every time I hear that.
Like, the point is that there's so many decisions that you get through that you have to make. There's so many decisions that you have to make. But I think the more decisive you can be with the decision making, the better you're able to essentially get closer to where you want to be in the long run.
And I don't mean to sound bitter or rude in any type of way here, but is it okay if I mention like a recent kind of situation with decision making where I saw it firsthand, where someone was like completely paralyzed?
Yeah, so, we can just cut it out if it's a bit much. But yeah.
It's a bit too far. But no, it irks me because like there's people out there who are looking to move and get help. They have certain questions they need to have answered. They get those questions answered, and then they say, oh, I need to think about it, or I need to sit on this for, and then 3 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by, and you're like, do you need help or not? Because it's just like, and I mean it in the way where it's heartbreaking to see that, because people just get in their own way when deep inside their heart and their stomach and the pit of who they are, they know they want to move forward, but there's some kind of gap that just gets, it's sad, because it's just like it paralyzes people from moving.
It does. And I think I might just kind of like what we're sort of saying is it's not about being reckless and just going into it like guns blazing and just like destroy everything. It's like there's a calculated risk that you need to take. And I think you said it well, is like, what do the numbers look like? Right? If I go and buy this property, what's the income? What are the expenses? What does my cash flow look like afterwards? How is the property expected to grow, even though you have no guarantee of how that's going to look? Anchoring the whole decision in that, I think, is what so many people just miss. Yeah. They try to find all these data points to try and solve all of their fears that they have, and it just doesn't work. Data doesn't solve your fear. Action does. Being decisive does. Making the decision does.
Yeah. And I think even just from our own kind of experiences this last week, there's some big decisions in the business that we had to make. And obviously, you know, like there's that human part of the equation that you have to be able to navigate and figure out with owning a business, with how you operate. But when you know you need to make a decision and you're not making it, we were stressed for like 3-4 weeks.
More than
because
that,
we weren't making a decision we needed to make.
Exactly. And
once it was made, how did you feel?
No, amazing. And that's such a good point. It's like the indecision is going to irk and eat away at you, and you are going to feel infinitely more stressed than if you make the decision, right? Making the decision might feel scary and it might have a bit of unknowns, but holding on to the, like, not making a decision, the indecision is gonna eat you away. Yeah. And to the point then of making that decision with a business where we had to let a couple of people go, it's like, oh, okay. It's like a breath of fresh air. Now we can breathe and focus on moving forward and focus on going in the right direction, right? And I hate doing that. It sucks, right? But it's like that I've got to make, like, you have to make that decision to move forward. And it's okay, it's a little bit different than property, but it's not too dissimilar,
definitely
right?
Not, yeah.
In being able to kind of just move forward. So I think what's got us to this point is decisive decision making, and what not only gets us to the point that we are, but all the other investors that we've seen on all different walks of life, is the fact that they just make a decision to do something, right? Without having 100% of the information, because let me tell you, that doesn't exist. There is no 100% of the information you are going to have. So I think for those of you out there that are kind of on the fence with, like, it might not be property, it could be starting a business, it could be going to buy gold, it could be whatever it is, changing careers. You are only a decision away, and quite honestly speaking, a decision away from changing the course of the future of your life. It sounds crazy, but it really is that simple, right?
It's very deep, to be fair. Like, I think with what you were explaining, like, outside of just property investing, just as people, when you're moving through life, if you leave things on your mind in the background, it just eats away at you. Absolutely. And it is very, very, I think as you grow older, it gets worse and worse. I think as you leave that kind of kick the can down the road. Kick the can down the road. Thing. Sorry.
Yeah, if you keep doing that, it's just what happens is the decision pressure then compounds. The I guess the consequences of the decision compound as well. So that's why I'm like, if there's shit that comes, like my property manager, I'm like, you know, there's an issue, I'm like, straight back, 5 minutes later, approved, done. Get the aircon done. I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't want that. Just do it, right?
Yeah, I don't want it lingering in the back of my head.
Broker,
on my to-do list.
We're buying a property. Broker comes back. Nick, I need this. Bang, 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 done. 5 minutes later, or whatever it is, bang, done. Yeah,
I hate having the ball in my court.
Yeah, it's like a hot potato. Trying to get rid of it, right? Like I don't want to be sitting on decisions for too long. That shit will just weigh you down. And particularly when you are running a business and a property portfolio, moving things forward, you can't sit on decisions long enough. And I know there'll be a lot of business owners out there that will resonate with pretty significantly. But yeah, if you kind of pussyfooting around, right, make the decision. Right. There's consequences of the decision. There's no doubt about it. There's risks to the decision, but there's also a reward as well. Right. If you make the right decision, there is going to be a reward there for you. Now, I guess do you want to talk about the house? Or do you wait till it's done? All right, we have some news about another property, which we'll share once it settles, I think, and we'll explain why we're not sharing it now. Once it settles,
wait till we have
the keys, and we'll explain why. It'll make a lot of sense there. But again, long and short, bit of a sneak peek. Massive amount of risk that we are taking.
Yeah.
Massive amount of decision-making pressure.
It's quite thrilling.
Putting a lot of things on the line when there's not really a lot of information to kind of back the decision and give us confidence with it, right? And we'll explain all of that in detail, I think, in another episode.
But can I just maybe talk to that? The reason why I feel like I was comfortable enough to move into that space of, there's a lot more uncertainty with that specific property was because we have backup plans.
There is a backup plan.
And that's correct. What, for me, as an individual property, I don't care about the financial wealth thing, all that kind of thing. For me, it was fundamentally the ability to have choices and have this place where you can do what you want and know that there is a backup option. And that's what property has really done for me individually in terms of my mindset and how I navigate through things.
That's right. So maybe a bit of a teaser for a future episode on that one. But look, if you got some value out of the episode, appreciate a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Akira and I are dropping content. We've been doing this for a number of years now, actually, the podcast.
It's crazy.
It's getting on this body. But we appreciate all the support from everyone of you that likes the video, shares the video. Some of you comment from time to time, so really do appreciate that. If you need help on your property investing journey and you want similar results than what Akira and myself have achieved in a few short years, this is what we do best. We are not a high volume buyer's agency. We only pick and choose the people we work with that are of the same like-mindedness. So if that's you, there is a link in the description to book a time to chat. You'll get a couple things out of the call. Clarity on what your next move really looks like, and whether that move is with us or not. You've got clarity. You can then move forward on and executing on that. If it makes sense, then we can move forward with planning things out for you and actually mapping out the next move if you choose to work with us, and also if we choose to work with you too. What? We don't work with everyone, right?
Yeah, no.
I don't want to work with everyone either. Some people are just pains in the asses. Anyway, what's the end of episode? The view, there's probably no one watching right now.
Go
so,
for it. Have fun.
That's it. Now we can kind of wrap it up. Until next week, thanks for watching. I'm Nick V. This is Akira. Catch you soon.
Thank you.